Fly me to the moon and let me lay among the stars. Oh, hey, I didn't see you there, Dungeon Dwellers. Welcome back to Dave's Dungeon. I am, as always, the one, the only Dungeon Master Dave, bringing you another film here for Spooktober 2023. This one is a smooth talking criminal. Yes, I'm talking about Copycat from 1995. Now, why is Dave bringing you this one? Well, Dave went looking out through the thrillers to see if there was anything out there, and I remember there being this glut of thrillers in the 90s, which, if I'm being honest, there's like 30-something, 35, 36 films, like right there in 1991 to 1998. There's some like 30 films in this time period that all kind of do the same thing. Starting in 1991 with probably the most famous of this style of story, which is The Silence of the Lambs, which, you know, as any good horror fan, you should have watched that already. If you're not familiar with that one, go watch Silence of the Lambs right now. Go. Get off my video. Go. You're not ready for this. So, but why are we watching this one then, you might be asking? And why am I not just talking about Silence of the Lambs? Well, because who hasn't reviewed Silence of the Lambs? Who hasn't seen that one already? That's like the one to see. Everybody's seen that. Everybody knows that one. This one's the underrated, undersold, because of amongst, like I said, 35, 36 films, this is the one that isn't stuck in the sort of Sherlock mystery whodunit theme either, much the same as, you know, Silence of the Lambs doesn't get stuck with a Sherlock, it gets stuck with a Hannibal. Whereas this one we don't get stuck so much with a Hannibal, we get stuck with a Helen. So, we get a similar style of story to even The Bone Collector from earlier this season. That's another one of these that, hey, 1998, 1999, that this train was starting to peter off. But I think this particular one, has something going on for it, particularly in its bad guys, and particularly in its hero and who and how it chooses to use that. So let's get into some of the history. This is a story by Ann Biderman and David Madsen, directed by John Emile. It is 2 hours and 3 minutes, or as we in the business like to know it as 123 minutes. 1, 2, 3, make a wish. Yeah, this is a long one. This is one of those that you gotta have your big boy pants on, and hopefully you're straight for them the whole time. It's moody, it's atmospheric, it builds pressure over time. So, let's get into the body count. We have one lecture about serial killers that seems pretty limited, but it was the 90s. Their sort of understanding of what all constitutes a serial killer doesn't fly nowadays. We've expanded and worked on it. 1, the killer is in the crowd watching her. Helen senses something. And this is one of those tropes of like, hey, am I freaking out, or did I just feel something from the 90s that I swear, in regular storytelling, you can say I got spooked. In movie storytelling, they have a feeling and things happen. 1, can't a girl just take a piss without having to deal with this? Foo, which I gotta say, the SA that happens in this film is very pointed at females. The murder in this film is very pointed at females. So it's sort of telling that the movie has to start here. That we start in 2023, this is one to come back to and revisit and go, hey, wait a minute. Maybe we should do something about this, because why is all this violence always pointed at women? One noted big band and jazz Showtime singer, Joseph Harry Fowler Connick Jr., assaults noted serial killer expert and kills a police officer. Because Harry was a singer and a nice guy and not a serial killer, the motivations for this attack are unclear and have police baffled. Yeah, this is one of those sort of weird scenes, but it sort of works for me, because if you're crazy, of course you're going to act like this, and it's going to be weird, but you deal. One, she's going to need some heavy therapy to move trauma like that scene. Apparently we're going 13 months later, because a year and a month is all you need. One, not left the house in a year and a month. Those are some rookie numbers. You need to get those up. For anyone who experienced the Backstreet Boys or Corona season, yeah, we're rolling 3 years strong. So Helen, rookie numbers, get them up. One, list of presidents that doesn't seem to be helping you calm down much. As a matter of fact, you remembering them seems to be stressing you out. Maybe this isn't a good coping mechanism. Well, but neither is the drinking. One, early 90s instant messenger chat room foo, complete with, hey, you up? One, detecting a panic attack because of a sudden urge to chat. Because in the 90s, we could read a lot of things about each other by how suddenly we showed up in a chat room. One, mental illness and inability to cope are not a competition, Helen. Jesus, quit drinking. You're drunk at breakfast. Hey. One, cop unloads the whole clip. One cop is worried about her karma. Meet MJ and the meatball sandwich that is Reuben. One very uncomfortable tight close-up of a playground, complete with kids, before we get distracted by a jogger, thankfully. The killer is watching scene. Sort of, and these are what I think set this film apart from the others of this era and the others of bygone eras and the others that came after it. Was this film showed you who the killer was and let you watch from both their perspectives and the people they were watching's perspective. So kudos to this film for doing a lot of fun things that allowed you as a film watcher to share the gaze of the killer at certain moments to let you know, hey, this is what's going on here, and this is where you should be paying attention. And so you have knowledge that the two key characters, the protagonists, don't. It's important. And to me, that's what sets this one apart from a lot of the rest who are whodunnits. But you don't ever really get a sense of how they could have done it. Well, this gives you that. One, the mouth is here. Just pop her in the brachial nerve and she'll drop the mic, quote. One, cleanly staged crime scene recreation of the Boston Strangler, Albert DeSalvo's murders. down to the awful details. And by the way, on this channel, we don't spell awful A-W-F-U-L. We're not full of awe. It's O-F-F-A-L. Like the refuse left over after you've got something. Yeah, the messy stuff. Awful. One crazy lady calling about the moon bike ends up not being so crazy after all, because she's pretty much on the money about the lunar cycle. Ooh, swing and a miss. One, I stabbed her 87 times because she was a dirty, dirty girl. Harvey, if you come back here, I'm going to spank you. Quote. Dealing with the locals and the absolute worst crazies who are making this difficult. Like, they do not help Nico at all. By the way, meet Nico. He is a fuck up and will continue to be a fuck up throughout all of this. One killer standing right in the middle of a police station because watching them struggle helps him get off. One, finding out the woman on the phone knows more about serial killers than anyone else at the police station. Because Helen's got 20 years, and the only other guy apparently worked on the Zodiac. One quote, I've worked serial killers before. Right, the Zodiac. Was he ever caught, or did he die of old age? Quote, no, he moved to Texas and ran for senator. He's been hiding out there ever since. I see you, Ted Cruz. I'm on to you. One, you can spare me the bullshit, detective. You don't like me. You don't admire me. None of your people do. But you know the beautiful thing? I don't give a fuck. That's the upside of having a nervous breakdown. Quote. Because, yeah, I can't blame her. She's 13 months after being assaulted by a serial killer that she had to testify against. Maybe leave her alone. Leave Helen alone! One very good portrayal of what panic attacks are actually like. And, that Miss Sigourney Weaver should be very proud of. I've heard she studied a lot to get that portrayal down, and as someone who's both had panic attacks and worked with people who've had panic attacks, that's real. That is very, 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 very real. I keep losing my spot. Sorry about this. My own handwriting is betraying me because I did this one in pencil. One, she's kind of cute with that bag on her head like that. Reuben, the absolute meatball. Because, yeah, of course he's going to be attracted to Sigourney Weaver, who isn't right now. One, doing the smart thing in a montage to classical music because we're brilliant trope. Because, of course, we have to show off Helen is as smart as everyone else. So we put it to classical music and we let her find all the clues and do all the neat stuff so we know she's smart. One, little red dress that doesn't make us feel good things anymore, but it's our one power suit, so we got to keep it. I don't know about you, I would have thrown that thing away. I would have gotten rid of it. You know what I mean? I wouldn't have kept that dress. One, it ends up on the it ends up on the bed because of course it does. We had to have done it because we're day drinking. Killer breaks into the house first time. One, is that a cheeseburger in your pocket or are you just happy to see me? Messing with people's food is not funny. 1, passing the audition. Helen proves her knowledge of the killer mindset and serial killers. Because, of course, you have to pass a test when you're hopped up on pills and alcohol all the time. 1, gratuitous Woodstock footage that the killer uses to hunt his next victim in. 1, chess game foreplay that gets interrupted by, "You've got mail." Because it's the 90s, of course you do. 1, 1995 albino black sheep flash video that has viruses. Because of course it does. It's 1995 and this is the equivalent of an albino black sheep video in the 90s. 1, spending the night with a nice Reuben sandwich. Yeah, girls gotta eat. I don't blame her. Hey, he was cute. 1, meet Peter and his silly little computers. Quote, "I love you." Yeah, me too. He's got a guest in the basement. 1, Peter does some emergency surgery on a very unwilling patient. 1, from DeSalvo to Bianchi and Buono. A different method has police stumped, but not Helen. 1, you said these guys were like robots. They're consistent. That's not very consistent. Well, consistency is the hobgoblin of small minds. Quote. That I don't think gets enough credit, and it's been one of those quotes that stuck with me the entire, ever since I've seen it. Consistency is the hobgoblin of small minds, meaning you wanting it to be the same always is the one thing that always baffles people who can't understand that things change. It's a weird point to make in the middle of a movie like this. 1, 1995 clip art technology is used to threaten Dr. Helen Fu. 1, getting directions at the gas station murder. Son of Sam, David Berkowitz reference. Switch killings. 1, just steal the damn car already. Quote, alarm going off at Helen's can't be good. Because of course not. 1, killer in the house and 1 bit of agoraphobia in the hallway. Helen is stuck between a rock and a hard spot. 2nd time the killer breaks into Helen's place, though. And he leaves or something. 1, you were almost murdered by a guy who killed 5 people, but we're on it. Feel better? No, but I appreciate your candor. Conversation between Helen and MJ that, to be perfectly honest, what's Helen want? Helen knows this game better than MJ does. Come on, Helen. You have serial killers on the brain, and you don't know that this guy's after you? Come on, lady. 1, signed book written by Daryl Lee Cullum with a finger on the point. Yeah, particular finger. 1, making your serial killer friend immortal through Jimmy donations, which you get the sense he didn't give him liquid dish soap. 1, Helen, do you want ants? Because this is exactly how you get ants seen. Helen, 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 Helen. I'll do the talking. 1, shot on an iPhone, 90s edition, featuring the now infamous Daryl Lee Cullum, serial killer and faith leader. This is a weird sort of plot point we devolved to. 1, send me some of your squirrel covers. Your panties. But I want them autographed. Deal. You want them skid marked too? All I can do is go, why? Do we need this? I mean, I laughed, but we didn't need this point. Like, this could have just been no, we didn't need this. Because they don't even, this is a red herring the whole time anyway. One. Cop's weakness for donut gets him killed. Goodbye, Reuben, you meatball. Yeah, unfortunately, them donuts, you can't help when you get a craving. One, pop them in the brachial nerve trick that doesn't work and gets her partner killed. Because, yeah, I bet she won't do that again. Because, I mean, he even said something about that. Was like, you make sure someone's safe. Well, she was trying to make sure her karma stayed intact. How's your karma now, MJ? One, hey, Helen, just thought I'd drop by to say we missed him in Ruben's dead convo, because we're going to resolve the plot point that we didn't even need about the squirrel covers in saying that information just didn't matter. You didn't even need to do that then. You could have done the whole book and had the whole conversation, but you didn't need to do... Anyway. Editorializing on a movie this old is not healthy, nor good for my sanity. One, Peter kidnaps Helen's housekeeper for the next kill because poking at her is just fun at this point. But of course, this is where the killer, getting sloppy, makes the mistake. Giving himself away. Of course he does. One, decapitation. Foo. That leaves only the Ted Bundy murders left. 3 at once, red herring. One, Peter Curtin gets recognized from a photograph of him at the club and ID'd as Peter Fowler. One, pretty smart plan to deal with 3 different types of problems by burning them all. Peter Fowler tricks police, eliminates evidence, and distracts them enough that he gets to nab Helen all at once. One, MJ finally gets the message and decides to actually come to Helen's rescue because everybody else isn't worried about it. Though this has been the plan the whole time. One, it's got to be just right or this guy has a Spurg man fit. Obvious weakness is obvious. Because if it's got to be just right, just the smallest little error will mess it up. One, Sigourney Weaver has had to fuck tougher bitches than you before breakfast. Badass bad girl moment. Where she literally just laughs in his face. One, Law, you can't kill me if I do it first. Beating the killer at his own game trope. Because of course, if you set it up wrong. One, cure for agoraphobia. A killer will give you the overriding need to get the fuck out and focus on doing it. Yes, it will. One, put your dukes up. Quote, because she's so manic and lost everything at this point, she doesn't have anything left to lose. One, unloading the clip to make sure the bad guy is dead this time because MJ has learned her lesson. And finally, one last piece of fan mail to one crazy ass son of a bitch with marker on his teeth. Dave says, this movie is Four Skulls, a must-see thriller from a time that so many of these things came out one after another that it just got lost in the deluge. Really good look at the variety of serial killers and their methods. You need to see this film. Now, where you gonna find it? I don't know. It's not my job to tell you that. I can't. I'm not much responsible. I own this film. I watched my copy. I'm sorry. You can look it up. It's going to be somewhere. MVPs go to Sigourney Weaver as Helen, Holly Hunter as MJ, Will Patton as Nico, Harry Connick Jr., the famous blues big band swing singer, as Daryl Lee Cullum, and William McNamara as Peter Fowler, or Curtin, depending on which way you want to remember him. I gotta say, the thing to talk about in this is why this over so many others. Like, there's A Time to Kill, there's, Silence of the Lambs, there's Bone Collector, there's Fallen, there's tons of these films. Why this one? And it's because it gives us such a look at the meta commentary on serial killer psychology, if that makes sense. It dives into where the science has been, at least in the 90s, and sort of looks at the variety that we've had, so to speak. Because they're not all the same. They don't all resonate in the same way. So, it's just one of those things that... Sorry, I'm getting distracted. There's this one fly who just will not die or go away. My life is an interesting, weird conundrum of aggravations. But anyways, I think that's going to do it. I really want you to see this film. I think it's underrated. I think not enough people have seen it, period. Just like at all, or given it a chance at all. Yeah, it's corny. Yeah, some of the dialogue is stilted and old. You can tell the age of this film by some of the dialogue. Yes, I know. And by some of the effects too. But it's one of those perfect, like, building drama in did it. It's building drama and has added sort of like things and effects going on, and I don't know, it's better than all the rest of them, and you should give this one a shot. I just snatched a bug out of there. I don't care anymore. But thank you guys so much for watching this. I hope you liked it. Make sure you leave a like. Make sure you subscribe for more. I think you should ring the bell so you get notifications for when we drop new videos, and subscribing helps the channel out and makes it to where you get those notifications whenever I drop the content. Thank you for journeying with me, Dungeon Dwellers. Really appreciate you coming on these journeys with me, and I hope to see you on our next ones. But until then, I don't know how you're supposed to make friends anymore when everybody outside of you might be a serial killer.